Hello everyone, welcome back to Turkish Series Stars. Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe, like, and share this video. Your support keeps this channel shining and lets us bring you the most captivating moments from the world of Turkish celebrities. Tonight, we're talking about one of the most anticipated evenings in entertainment, a dazzling awards ceremony that turned into a showcase of grace, charisma, and quiet electricity the moment Elçin Sangu and Barış Arduç stepped into the spotlight. Their invitation was already stirring whispers days in advance, but the story they authored on that glamorous night was something nobody will forget anytime soon. The ceremony unfolded in Istanbul, at a venue draped in sparkle and sophistication, mirror-polished floors reflecting crystal chandeliers, sculpted floral installations climbing across archways, and rows of velvet seats filled with the brightest names in television, cinema, and digital productions. The mood was celebratory yet refined, acknowledging seasoned triumphs while applauding the energy of rising talents. Everything felt meticulously curated, but as news traveled through the crowd that Elçin and Barış would arrive together as honored guests, the atmosphere shifted from elegant to electric. Fans had counted down the days, trading guesses about outfits, predicting how they might greet the cameras, asking whether their rapport would echo the unforgettable synergy that once made an entire generation of viewers fall in love with their on-screen magic. As the clock ticked toward showtime, the red carpet became a festival of anticipation. Photographers jockeyed for position, reporters rehearsed questions, and fans lined the barriers with homemade signs, hearts pounding to the rhythm of expectation. Then, as if scripted for the perfect reveal, a sleek black car slid to a stop. The rear door opened, and Elçin Sangu emerged first, all luminous poise and easy grace. Her gown seemed cut from moonlight, soft-toned, sculpted to flatter, with a whisper of movement that caught every gust of night air and turned it into choreography. Minimal jewelry framed her features, allowing her natural radiance to carry the look. She didn't rush, didn't hesitate. She simply breathed and moved, and the carpet belonged to her. A serene smile, a composed wave, a quiet confidence that made the flashes pop like fireworks. In her wake, Barış Arduç stepped out in a classic tuxedo that felt almost inevitable, sharp lines, polished shoes, the kind of tailoring that turns a simple suit into a statement. He carried himself with that unforced charm fans know well, shoulders relaxed, eyes attentive, a warmth that made distance feel smaller. Side by side, they formed a picture that drew the cameras into a frenzy. Shutters snapped in rapid succession as they paused at the step and repeat, exchanged a few soft words with smiles only half hidden, and turned the red carpet into their stage. From behind the barricades, cheers erupted. Some called out their names. Some shouted inside jokes only longtime fans would understand. Elçin answered with a gentle wave and a touch to her heart, acknowledging the ones who have supported her every transformation. Barış offered a hand-over-heart greeting and a quiet nod, the simple gesture amplified by the sincerity in his eyes. Together, they bridged the gap between glamour and intimacy, making a crowded entrance feel strangely personal. What stood out was their ease. Nothing about their chemistry felt labored or rehearsed. They leaned closer to hear each other over the noise and laughed at something only they could hear. A moment later, they stepped aside to ensure fans had an unobstructed angle for photos, tiny, thoughtful acts that say more than grand declarations. Clips of those interactions traveled across social platforms with the speed of wishful thinking becoming memory, and within minutes the evening had new icons. Inside the hall, the vibe remained regal. As they made their way down the aisle, there was a ripple of attention. Fellow actors and directors rose to offer embraces, quick exchanges of admiration, and congratulations for recent projects. Elçin received compliments with humility and a spark in her eyes. Barış listened intently, always present, always gracious. It was clear why the industry holds them in such regard. Talent opens doors, but character keeps them open. Their seats, close to the stage, confirmed their status as distinguished guests. Throughout the ceremony, the broadcast cameras frequently drifted their way, capturing unguarded reactions. Elçin applauded with earnest enthusiasm for each winner, visibly moved by heartfelt speeches. Barış, attentive and thoughtful, followed every word with a stillness that felt respectful and grounded. When someone thanked their crew, he smiled like he knew the truth of long nights and quiet heroes behind the scenes, because, of course, he does. Then came one of the night's defining moments. An announcement summoned them to the stage to present an award. The audience surged into applause as they rose together. On stage, the atmosphere sharpened into a spotlighted hush. Elçin took the microphone first, her voice calm and clear, language effortless, the cadence of someone who respects the craft. She set the tone beautifully, and when she finished, Barış stepped in with a rich, resonant delivery that wrapped the room in confidence. Their timing felt unstudied yet impeccable, the kind of natural interplay that makes audiences wonder what new collaboration could be on the horizon. After their presentation, they slipped backstage where a battalion of reporters waited with poised microphones and curious smiles. The interviews were brief but telling. Elçin spoke with genuine pride about the evolving quality of Turkish storytelling, praising writers, directors, and the new wave of performers who are pushing standards higher. She described the night as an honor and a celebration. Barış, measured and sincere, emphasized the importance of teamwork and the unsung crew members who turn good ideas into unforgettable moments. When a journalist asked about whispers of an upcoming project, they shared a glance and smiled. An unspoken promise and a playful secret. They said they'd reveal more soon, and it was more than enough to send the internet into a feverish hum of predictions and wish lists. Between segments of the show, they made time for the people who had waited hours just to see them up close. They posed for selfies, signed tickets and posters, and exchanged a few precious sentences with fans whose hands trembled with excitement. One fan later wrote that Elçin noticed the handmade detail on her gift and asked about it with sincere curiosity. Another described how Barış crouched to make sure a small child could fit into the frame of their photo, then thanked the family for coming. Those tiny moments became big stories once they reached the timelines of strangers, as if kindness itself had gone viral. The ceremony surged forward with powerhouse performances and a few surprise wins that rattled the room in the best way. Still, no matter what happened on stage, eyes drifted back to Elçin and Barış, drawn by their unhurried calm, their easy synchronicity, the impression that they could hold a moment steady just by sharing it. Their presence seemed to smooth the edges of a night already polished to a shine, an understated duet playing beneath the evening's louder notes. When the final awards had been handed out and the last chorus faded, they rose to leave, and the flashbulbs flared again like a second sunrise. Outside, the night air carried a soft chill, and the crowd pressed forward for one last glimpse. Elçin gathered her gown with practiced care as they moved toward the car. Barış kept a protective hand at the small of her back, guiding her through the tide of attention with that composed, considerate steadiness people admire him for. It wasn't grand or staged. It was simple. And that simplicity was what lit up comment sections for hours afterward. The car doors closed, the vehicle eased into the flow of the city, and yet the night did not end. Screens glowed everywhere with photos and clips, comments pouring in by the second. Some declared them the best-dressed pair of the event, praising how Elçin's refined elegance and Barış's timeless style seemed to talk to each other. Others could not stop analyzing their exchanges on stage, wondering if the way their eyes found each other meant something more than a secret joke, or maybe the first note of a professional reunion. Their red carpet photos dominated timelines. Their presentation moment became the clip people replayed with captions about chemistry and grace, and the backstage smiles turned into reaction images shared across fan groups like sweet souvenirs. By the time dawn hinted at the edges of the Bosphorus, one truth had already formed: the awards night would be remembered not just for winners and ovations, but for the atmosphere Elçin Sengu and Barış Arduç brought with them. They didn't steal anyone's spotlight, they simply expanded it. In an evening designed to honor many, they managed to embody what the celebration was about: craft elevated by character, fame softened by generosity, elegance anchored by authenticity. It felt, in the best sense, like a gentle magic trick, nothing overt, nothing forced, and yet everywhere you looked, they were the moment. And maybe that is why audiences keep asking for them, why a glance can feel like a promise, why a shared laugh can become a headline, and why even a short walk on a red carpet turns into a shared memory for thousands who were not physically there. It is not just nostalgia for past triumphs, nor merely the pull of star power. It is the recognizable humanity that threads through their presence, the way they treat a glittering night not as a stage to dominate but as a room full of people to respect. That stance, more than any dress or tux, is what burned their names into the story of the evening. As always, we'll be here with more updates, more behind-the-scenes whispers, and more moments that make this world so addictive to follow. If you loved reliving this night with us, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Stay close to Turkish series stars for the next chapter, because if that subtle look and that carefully kept secret backstage mean what we think they might, the announcement fans are waiting for could be closer than anyone imagines. Until then, hold on to the feeling of this night, a refined, sparkling storm that began the second Elçin Sengu and Barış Arduç stepped out of that car and reminded everyone why some duos don't just walk into a room, they change the weather.